Alright, my bad, y'all. I had to, fix my phone because the thing was about to fall off the clip on my dashboard. But anyhow, what I was talking about was they got this thing on YouTube. It's called CinemaSin, right? Where they take like movies and they point out like a lot of like the fundamental flaws in them that sometimes the regular viewer may not see. It's just a comical outtake on things. It's not like a real serious thing or something. The guy's actually pretty funny that does it. So I watch him every now and then. But one that I don't think he's done, or that I haven't seen, or that I remember him doing anyway, was the Hangover, the first one. And I was thinking about that movie when I was at work last night, and the thing that came to my mind was, obviously you got Stu, the dentist slash doctor, or he's a doctor of dental science, hence the name doctor, which, he uses in a loose sense, for his own gain. But anyhow, he's in a pretty stringent, I guess is the word, relationship with his girl. And so he's telling her that, they're going to Napa Valley for, old boy Doug's bachelor party. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, he probably, he's lying to her because, he don't really want her to, like, know the truth. I mean, if he told her that he was going to Vegas, she would have objected. She would have tried like hell to stop him. She already don't let him scratch his own butt without her permission. But, he's saying they're going to Napa Valley. And I'm like, dude, you guys live in Los Angeles. I mean, it's pretty established that they live in Los Angeles. Because if you notice at the end of the movie, they're trying to catch flights into LAX and Burbank to be back in time for their wedding. Well, at least the wedding is taking place in LA, but it's pretty clear that that's where they left from. Anyhow, so they drove from Los Angeles to Vegas, and that was evident in the first movie because they got to Vegas in what appeared to be a few hours. I mean, it only takes a few hours, well, if I'm driving, to get from LA to Vegas. I've done it, a few times already. But, so they live in Los Angeles, and he's telling her that they're going to Napa Valley for, what up, Jay? They're going to Napa Valley for the bachelor party, but they clearly left on a Friday because that was established when Phil, who's a teacher, was at school, and as he's leaving school, he's telling, the slightly overweight child who was asking him a question that it was the weekend and he did not exist. So this is Friday. Well, the wedding was on Sunday because, I mean, think about it. Who holds a wedding, a grand wedding like they were having like on a Monday, right? So they were going to Vegas Friday night. The original plan was to come back Saturday at some point, but they got held up, and so they figured, well, they could just make it back Sunday because that's the actual day of the wedding anyway. Anyhow, if he told, okay, back to Stu. If he told his girl, or his lady, whatever she is, fiance, well, not yet, because he was going to propose, but he never got the chance, thankfully. He told her that they were going to Napa Valley. Okay, let's reset the button here. Napa Valley is a minimum, okay, we're talking, and they're driving, minimum 6-hour drive from even like San Fernando, which is like the northernmost part of Los Angeles you can be in, and I don't even think they were in San Fernando. I think they were like close like to the Burbank area, which ain't far from San Fernando, but how in the hell were they gonna get from LA to Napa Valley? I mean, the quickest way to get to Napa Valley from LA, you have to take the 5 literally all the way up, and this is 6 hours nonstop with like minimal time for pulling over for gas. But, and then they were going to attempt to be back on Sunday. So even if they left in the afternoon time from LA going to Napa Valley, they're not going to get there till at least, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And then their original goal was to be back on Saturday. What the heck was the point of even going in the first place? I mean, honestly, what was the point of going? Like, even if he is telling her that story that, oh yeah, we're going to be in Napa Valley. He's trying to buy himself some Vegas time or whatever. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I get that. But it's like, dude, like your whole, your system is flawed. Even the dumbest girl is going to pick up on that. And she is like very like anal retentive as far as, how she was going to plot this whole thing out about him going. So let's just draw it back to what he's telling her. They're going to drive to Napa Valley for the night, and then they were going to do some wine tasting the next day, and then drive back later on that night. I mean, this is still a 6-hour drive back. However long it takes to get there is how long it takes to get back. And their plan was his plan, that he's telling her, was to go and then come back on Saturday. Coming back on Sunday apparently wasn't in the plans because that wasn't stated. But, how is he going to sell that ticket, in the long run? I mean, maybe that's what he told her ahead of time, but I'll give him credit. In some way, she bought it because, she didn't really question the whole fact of yeah, he was going to Napa Valley, and she bought that. But at the same time, she didn't do the math in her head, you guys are going to drive 6 hours? I mean, and the reason why I'm saying this stuff is because, this is some stuff that I would have had to go through. Yeah, we're going to Napa Valley, and then we're going to be back tomorrow. Any girl I would have dated would have seriously questioned the tactic of all of that. I mean, honestly, there's just no way around it. Maybe that's just the kind of women I've dated or whatever, but no, that's just how it goes. Everybody but the Bachelor knew they had no intention of being on time. Yeah, I know that, but they're okay. But at the same time, they're all trying to sell this story that they were going to be back the next day. So, but they're not dealing with women like Stu is. Phil's wife, I don't know, she didn't really seem to be too objecting to anything. And then you got Doug, who's getting married, and she was, pretty much on board with the whole thing. Alan, no explanation needed, but, so he's dealing with the restrictive one, Phil. I mean, not Phil, Stu. So, I just don't get how he was even able to pin that down on her. Yeah, we're going to Napa Valley on Friday afternoon, 6-hour drive. We're going to do some wine tasting the next day, and then we'll be back on Saturday night. Not a woman on earth would have, gone without questioning that. I just don't think so. So, I mean, to me, that was a very fundamental flaw in that movie's script, solely because of how, anal retentive she was already projecting herself to be towards him, and restrictive, that, she was use this Rogaine, call when you get in. I don't care if you're the keynote speaker at a, dental conference in Phoenix. If you're late to the podium, you still better call me. I mean, that's the kind of woman that she was. So I'm surprised she didn't map out his every layer of detail. And not only that, he called her initially that night, that same night, and talked about how they had just got there. So I'm like, that must have been the quickest drive on earth to Napa Valley if he was trying to sell that, because unless it was like, midnight, maybe they got stuck in traffic. Okay, keep it real. They're going from Los Angeles to the Bay, through the Bay Area onto Napa Valley on a Friday. No way they make it in less than 6 to 7 hours. You guys can Google map that or MapQuest, like they had in the movie. I don't know what crazy route MapQuest would have gave them from LA to Napa Valley that he could sell that story, but it just don't add up. I mean, I'm sorry. In my mind, it don't add up, and I don't know a woman, unless you just have like this real docile woman that, don't question anything that you do, that you can get away with like trying to sell that story. I just don't believe it. And in a movie, you got to sort of like suspend disbelief a little bit, but that one, I think really went like unchecked as far as, really, like they're gonna go to Napa Valley from LA, like it didn't make sense to me. And don't get me wrong, I love the movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Having watched CinemaSins enough, like on YouTube, I mean, I watch movies sometimes and I say like, that's a sin, that's a CinemaSin, kind of thing. And it's kind of funny, to me anyway. I find humor in it, but, like I said, suspend the disbelief. Nobody believes anywhere, even in a movie, that you can drive from LA, even just to the initial part of the Bay Area on the 5, which I think takes you like through, Tracy, the Stockton area. And then you got to cut through like Interstate 80, like, up through like Napa Valley. So, I mean, I don't know. I haven't made that full drive, but I mean, I've driven from Los Angeles to the Bay Area and on the same day before. And I didn't even take the 5. I actually went from Los Angeles to Madera, and from Madera to Oakland. We actually did that in about 7 hours, because it was, 6 hours. I left Los Angeles at 6 a.m., got to Madera at 10. I had to, organize some stuff at my house real quick, and then we left Madera at 11 and got to Oakland at 1. So this was Los Angeles to Madera with an hour break, and then Madera to Oakland 2 hours because of traffic. So it was definitely something that you're not going to make a quick drive. I mean, and that's just Oakland. You still got to go through the Bay Area to get to Napa Valley, which is not really even the shortest drive. It's like an hour and a half from, Richmond to Napa Valley sometimes. So, depending on traffic. But that's just my take on that movie. I don't know what y'all think. I'm sure most of y'all have seen the movie. So, if you ever watch it again, maybe, run that parameter scenario in your head and think like, she bought that, kind of thing. Because I just don't know a woman that would have bought that. So, initially, without asking some kind of questions about the time frame of it. So, let me know what y'all think. Obviously, it's something that just came across my mind, but I'll let y'all later.